One.
Oof. You are now two of the City Sultan podcast. Our purpose is cultivating leaders, and our focus is duality, the divine masculine, and leadership. In today's episode, we'll be discussing rejuvenation of the soul.
I'm City Emerald.
I am Blue Lotus triple threes. Emphasis on the threes eternally. Ow!
That's right.
Yo, this is King Ra, aka City Ra. Bless, love.
Oh man, season 2, baby. Yeah.
Woo, woo,
We have made it to another season, family. Congratulations. This is
Man.
this is actually such a blessing. You know what I mean? And as City Bliss has stated, today we are speaking about the topic that which is rejuvenation of the soul, which I think is a very powerful topic, especially to start season 2 with, considering that we are rejuvenating.
Going with
We're
that.
starting
The
again.
reason I'm laughing is this a real moment, brothers? It's
I know.
because because you guys listen. You guys know us as cities. We're still brothers, like in real life. So when we
Yeah.
score, there's still gonna be that. There's when we do this podcast. It's a mix, a blend of entertainment as well as value. You know what I
Right.
mean? So we still make jokes back and forth. You still hear us laugh. You still hear us have that side dialogue that still adds context to whatever we have within the topic, you know. And uh, one of the questions that we'll be asking: how do you what are one of the practices you use to rejuvenate the soul, right? And for me, this is funny. One thing that I use is laughter. You know, because that laughter is like, you know, that tightening of your core and, you know, your face opening up and smiling and showing your teeth. Like um, that's really one of the ways that I really access that part of it. So City M was talking about he did not want to freeze. He literally intentionally said, I do not want to freeze during the episode. So as he's talking, he's ready to go. Yeah, that's
I thought you actually froze. Am I freezing? Oh my God.
Nah, real talk. Oh, I thought you for
That
real.
was so
I was
perfect.
about to say, damn, these connections is all the way effed up.
No,
No
no, no, no.
Mercury retrograde.
Am I good though? Am I good right now?
you good.
Yeah, you're
Sure,
excellent right now,
everything that
bro.
I'm saying sounds good because we got to make sure that everybody in the Sultan hood hears everybody.
Yes.
The Sultan. I love that.
I just made it
Loud
up.
and clear.
Okay, bless. That's a blessing. So anyway, like we were saying, we are hit season 2. Congratulations to everybody. You know, for making it yet to another season, and you know, we're talking about rejuvenation of the soul here. Rejuvenation of the soul, which, like I was saying, is I think is a wonderful topic because you know, as season 2, we're rejuvenating here, right? You guys still hear me? All right. So
Loud and clear.
okay, so when we're speaking about rejuvenation of the soul, the first question that we have here is, which is very important, I think, is what is rejuvenation? What are we speaking about when we're speaking about rejuvenation? Please, anybody, y'all pick that one up. What y'all think? What's rejuvenation to you?
I'll kick it off. To me, rejuvenation is like to refresh. I kind of think of it as like a spa day. you know, Metaphorically speaking, it's just like a refreshment. Getting all the nourishment and relaxing and resetting and just taking in, everything that you that time on all levels, mentally, physically, spiritually. So yeah, refreshing. That's what I.
Powerful. How about you, City Ra? What is rejuvenation to you?
Rejuvenation to me is, I would say, I love, by the way, City Bliss, I love that. But for me, it is a reinforcement of the essentials, and that rejuvenation to a place where I can reabsorb the things and the foundations that may be my present self, and so I exude them in a more organic way.
Love it. Now,
Feel that.
City Blue, where you at with this? What's your consciousness or concept in terms of like rejuvenation? What rings a bell when you hear that?
Rejuvenation off top, disconnection from the human race, not in a negative way, but in the sense of who are naturally born introverts. It can be very tiresome and energetically tiresome to always produce and not recharge, especially in this modern day society, in this fast paced modern day society where, especially if you're living in, let's say, New York City or a city that's of that vibration, you're always on the hustle and bustle. You really, realistically speaking, if you're still stuck in the part of the, basically the matrix, you can say, the matrix of, being in your cycles, let's say the 9 to 5, and then you got to do this and run your errands and do that and still do other godly service work, and you won't have time off until your day off, and even on your day off, you're still going to be taking care of some earthly assignment. So it's like you really have no quote unquote up until you take care of everything, and then you can really just but saying all that to say, when you can just disconnect, decompress, spend time in nature, even if it's an hour, an hour would be best. I was gonna say 15 minutes close to a park, then yeah, that's suitable for you. But to where you can really just maximize time within yourself, with nature, and even reading a book in nature, that's rejuvenation. Staying by water, drinking water. Let's say if you want to recite some oldies, some TBTs, you know what I'm saying, and spend time by yourself. It's whatever makes you feel good, and that's what I feel is.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful.
So,
Thank you.
everybody, what I love about it is because I know Ra was gonna be like, can we look up the etymology of
Yeah,
rejuvenation?
let's do it. Let's do it.
So before
Let's
he
Let's
do
do
it.
said
that.
it, I already did it because I already felt it coming. So, but first, I'm gonna tell you what the definition says here, and the definition it refers to it says the action of or process of giving new energy or vigor to something. So we're here in this conversation, we're talking about rejuvenation of the soul. So when we're speaking about the soul, I kind of wanted to give some value on that as well, because when we're talking about the soul, the way I see the soul is that the soul, like you have the spirit, which is like everywhere. Spirit is everywhere. Source is everywhere. Spirit and source are the same. But when you're speaking about the soul, you're speaking about when spirit takes form and becomes more individualized in a specific person, in a specific entity, in a specific being. That's when it starts to become a soul. So like the soul starts to become a soul itself when the spirit begins to incarnate into the flesh during conception, during the part where where the mother is receiving and life is beginning to evolve, that soul begins to individualize itself into physical form. I mean, not physical form, but into the physical form itself. So when we're speaking about rejuvenation of the soul, for me personally, it has to do with going back to where we came from, so that we can, as brother a City Blue said, recharge through the process of reminders, so that we may become reinvigorated. Anybody want to add value on that one?
Yeah, I definitely want to add further on that, because as you said that, I instantaneously caught a recent flashback of when I went to New Mexico. And upon visiting that friend, we actually ended up going to a hot springs, and it was divine timing because as we were coming, people were leaving. So long story short, we ended up having the space to ourselves. And once we had the space to ourselves, I actually it was basically skinny dipping was allowed, you know. So we was tapped into nature, and as we was tapped in, I was sitting in half lotus. I had the C sharp frequency with earth and the root chakra, and I
Right.
believe heart chakra incense playing. I had it lit. I was just in the water, in the lightless black of earth. I was in the womb, and it was just so comforting. I honestly didn't even want to leave, but the best part about that, you know, not only was I rejuvenated mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically, but we ended up, as we exited, we looked up and the star constellation looked immaculate. Like Sirius B was right directly in front of us. Yo, it was celestial. It was magical. Like I'll never forget just the experience and let alone the images within itself. But I just wanted to add that little gem. But yeah, just going back to zero.
So being there felt like a womb. Womb was your rejuvenation.
That's a fact.
Going back into the womb
Love that.
is the sacred rejuvenation. Going back into the womb, going back into, you know what's crazy too, is that when you're dealing with sacred sexuality or sacred energy exchange, like I know for men specifically, it's a process of us going back into the womb. That's so crazy. And then if you're doing it properly, you become energized later or rejuvenated. If you do it properly, if you're doing it with like a succubus, then you know, you already know how that goes. You're gonna be like, like, oh my God, where's my soul? But like when you do it, you know, when it's done properly and it's done intentionally, you find yourself many a times becoming more energized or rejuvenated because you literally gain access to the physical womb by which and through which humans come out within the universe. You ever think of that? Like there's something in there that's like forming a whole like like a whole human being.
Yeah, he has a whole. I think it's amazing. That even says what he said. I want to add some value to what he said in terms of what the spirit was, and you know, the spirit or the soul being an individualized spirit, an individualized all, quote unquote, created so a correspondence to the individualized human consciousness, right? And rejuvenate soul, I believe, is rejuvenating that connection to the source via that individualized. So you're not, it's almost like that intermediary, that middleman, that highway in between and your physical self, you know, and finding. So I love that even when City well, say Blue was telling his anecdote, was that he was giving value in terms of something that you can do to and experience that intermediary between your old spirit and your human flesh. You know, because that moment he even described, he is trying to articulate the refreshment of that connection via his individual physical self. But then even the articulation doesn't do it justice. So you use words celestial, you use words like magical, you use words like divine, but even those words within themselves, divine, is a limitation to what the appearance and experience was. You know, so that's just a hint to when you're rejuvenating your soul, you're rejuvenating something that is the unseen.
Ooh, okay. So that kind of answers the question right there of what we had here as well. What does the soul mean to you? You know, that self that is unseen. How about you, Bliss? What city Bliss? What's the soul to you when we're speaking about the soul?
We speak of the soul. It's very similar to what you said, you know, the individualized spirit. It's what makes spirit unique. It's kind of like, it's not really separation from, but it's access to a part of source in a very unique way. So each one of us has that uniqueness. You know, each one of us is a soul here experiencing this reality. So we're all tapping into a different part of source, you know, a unique part of source. And our purpose as a soul is to shine that light, that uniqueness to our ability, you know, so that others can see it and in turn feel rejuvenated from that. Because what do we love? We love to see somebody shining their light, living in their authenticity, being their best self, you know, is rejuvenation. And that's what I feel like the soul is. Not hearing you,
City and music.
Oh no, that's wonderful. Yeah, thanks, y'all. I just wanted to say, yeah, that was very powerful, City Bliss. And I was just gonna ask City Blue, when you're dealing with the soul, what do you think that is? What's that mean to you?
Well, before we even get into that, I actually wanted to add value when you was mentioning getting back to the basically the womb. There's actually a sacred tantric technique involves the man and the woman, to where the man puts his penis in the woman, and it's like you have to keep it semi-erect but not too erect, but don't move. You just literally hold completely still, and it's a subtle energy exchange. And I forgot the exact technique name at the moment, but then there's actually another one to where they can do cloth called yab yum, and you hold each other closely, and you basically hold to where both the genitalia, sacral chakras are connected, and you even parts depending on how y'all are seated. So for instance, let's say if the woman is sitting on top of you, that would be best methods, and you just hold each other and breathe in synchronicity. But okay, so to answer your question,
Yeah, that was good. That was
what
good.
does
That was good. No, that's good value because that's sexual rejuvenation. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
sexual, but intimacy.
yeah,
You know,
yes,
Yeah, that was high
yes,
levels.
thanks. And go ahead.
No, I just said that was high levels right there. But yeah, you were saying about the soul. What's the soul to you?
Yeah, the soul is what has been learned through lifetime upon lifetime upon lifetime. And it's like this bliss energy that's just constantly seeking new experiences, constantly seeking new excitement, seeking new lessons, um, just for its learning of self, you know, because we're the microcosm within the macrocosm. So we're the universe experiencing itself on a multitude of levels and factors and layers. You know, like Source wants to be a musician. This Source wants to dancer. This part of Source wants to be a librarian. This part of the source wants to be, let's say, an anarchist. This part of the source wants to be a rebel. This part of the source wants to be a rock star. This part of the source. So that's my sense of perception as far as like the soul is concerned. And then that actually reconnects to what you were saying as far as the soul having its identity in the matter speaking when it's being formed in the womb, you know. And with that imprint, one can also connect if you abide by or follow Western astrology, like where the stars and cosmos was aligned when one was born. And that, I feel, is what will basically provide a blueprint for one's soul's identity. And then other, you know, astrology tools and, you know, platforms and traditions, cultures, so on and so forth.
Absolutely. So, no, thank you for that, y'all. For real. You know
Thank you.
what I'm gaining.
Thank
Like, if we all summarize what we all just said, like, and I heard it out of City Blues mouth. He said that it was a different parts of soul, I mean, of source. So, like, this part of source expressing itself as a musician, this part of source. So, in the very invisible, unseen realm, you know what I mean, from the physical eye, the soul is the expression of source, or it's like that which carries the life force over, but in a very unique way, as City Bliss said. You know what makes people unique. So, you know, that's beautiful. So now I was going to ask, because we already know some of the ways that City Blue already shared in the beginning of the episode, but so I guess this question is more directed, but, you know, definitely feel free to add value, City Blue, as well. Is that, what are some ways we find ourselves rejuvenating? What are some ways that you rejuvenate? City Bliss or City Ra?
I'll go.
Mm,
Oh, go ahead, City Rock.
nah, take that. You take that.
Take that.
Okay. Some rejuvenate. Definitely going into nature, and the main thing is putting my feet on earth, man. Grounding. I love grounding. You know, getting barefoot, like just running around, still sitting down, but having my body connected to the earth, very, very important to me. And not separated by any rubber, plastic, whatever's in these, you know, shoes that we wear, right? And definitely eating fresh fruits, electrical foods, man, foods that recharge you instead of draining your energy. You know, keeping that balance of things like that are mostly water based, like you know, like watermelon, cucumbers.
Yes.
I love me some mango. That's my favorite fruit. You know, papayas.
Mango
You
is the
know,
best fruit to ever come out and
and
ever in existence.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it gets stuck
for
in your teeth too
real.
much. It gets stuck in your teeth too much. That's the only downfall,
But
y'all.
it's the
I
natural
take it.
dental floss, man.
Word.
It's the natural
If
floss.
mango is
Yo,
so fire, it has to have a downfall. Like, it can't be perfect. It gotta, imagine if a mango had no seed. People would OD.
word.
We would
Word.
OD
Right, you
on.
just
A funny story is that when I was a child,
that's the
I
best part though.
almost choked on a mango, because the thing is, my mom, the first time she gave me a mango, I was a baby. I was like 2 years old. She put it in front of me and walked out the room. She shouldn't have done that, right? So when she came back, I was like, I was like choking myself out, like on the mango, trying to suck the juice out of it. So
Yeah.
one mode
That's
of
rejuvenation right there, man.
enjoying.
Grounding and mangoes.
Yo, and I was gonna say, yo, with them mangoes, yo, you be picking out mango residue from your teeth from like last week Friday. Like, nah, that shit, it be so tedious
Oh, you
in
gotta
your
listen.
teeth. Like,
You
it's,
gotta,
oh man.
you gotta, you gotta floss, bro. You gotta. I'm telling you,
Word. That floss love, that's a big
But
fact.
the thing
That's
too
a
is
big fact.
something I sleep on is that sharing a mango with your partner after tantric sex, you know, is one of the most amazing experiences, because the replenishment of the sugars, the replenishment of the water, you know, and then also almost like the aphrodisiac sucking nature of the mango as well kind of keeps it with like this. So, you know, divine masculine, definitely don't sleep on that after exchange meal, you know, usually opposed to eating
mango.
or like pastas and things of that nature.
And
Right.
yes, give thanks. Give thanks for the feedback. And I just wanted to add a little value and elaboration also, is that all cannabis smokers eating mangoes after you smoke cannabis is supposed to boost the experience naturally. This is scientifically proven. Yeah, since we're on the topic of mangoes.
Nah, I can attest to that.
That's rejuvenation.
No, listen. Mangoes have always boosted everything I've ever done. That is but everything, like I never like not had a mango and was like, it's always been the right answer every time. So
everything.
It's always
when
been
in
the right
doubt,
answer.
choose
No. That's crazy that you just said that because I just thought about it, bro. I've never missed with a mango. You're right. Like, let's say I like brought it to an event or something like that to like share. You can't if you have it on a like you really can't miss it. That's crazy.
but yeah,
Or you like you're with a friend and you just pull out some dry mango out of nowhere.
yeah,
Like, it's fire.
that's me. The
That's
dried mango always hit, y'all. And it got that chewy substance, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not messy. And listen, I like
I got some dried mango right now.
Word, perfect snack.
Okay, hold on. I don't want us to go 10 minutes about mangoes.
Word.
But check it out. Let's ready to attack.
Going back to the topic.
That's why I got MC.
That goes to show you.
But the way that connects.
Rejuvenating my soul, you know, like as Bliss said, his is, you know, grounding in mangoes. Mine is melanin charging. So going into the sun, having the sun touch my skin directly and feeling that connection with my primordial self is one way that I rejuvenate my soul because I realized that it's an esoteric thing. And when you do something, an esoteric technique consciously, because a lot of people bathe in the sun, but they don't have that esoteric intention. So that's not how they receive. But I receive it with the intention of it being a spiritual, it being a soulful act, and the intention of it rejuvenating my spiritual self, not my human vessel, not my melanated skin, but my, you know, my carbon, you know, self that is within the melanation.
Dark matter.
Yeah, that's serious right there. I was just about to ask that question about how the sun connects with rejuvenation over the body, but like, hello. And then also, like, even the way that we eat and what we eat, if that food is filled with sun codes, oh my God, and true sun codes, not no GMO stuff where they're feeding you lies, but where you're getting the true mathematics from the sun directly to the ground, directly to you. Do you know there's people who live in cities who never really ever had fresh food? Like, they think they have had fresh food, but they've never really had from sun to ground to mouth. They've had from sun to like demon scientists, you know what I mean? To then whatever, if you want to call that food, and then the explosion, and then you know, so it's very valuable to be able to rejuvenate, not just rejuvenate, but to rejuvenate from pure sources.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I was gonna I'm sorry, I was also gonna say, you know, you have a lot of sun-dried mangoes, and sun-dried chips, sun-dried. There's a lot of sun-dried products. You feel me? Even pineapples. They have sun-dried pineapples.
Yeah.
I've had that before.
Yeah, I've had that
before. And you're receiving not only the vitamins and minerals from the fruit, but also all that solar energy and then some.
Yeah.
You know, so if you could buy sun-dried anything,
the point
and tomatoes,
of consuming something that came straight from source, like consuming something that came straight from, because the sun, there's the sun, you know, water. What is another source that we can tap into? Because that's all we're doing is what we're talking about is that accessing we're accessing source through foods that come from the sun. What other things do we use? Like, is it like the wind? Like what?
Yeah, definitely air, breathing, breathing, tapping into some breathing exercises. Getting that some pranayama going on,
Yes,
man.
indeed.
I've definitely been practicing a lot more breathing exercises last year and this year. Like getting really deep into some, even going into like sacred sexuality, practicing, breaths that are deep down into my sacral area, my sacral chakra, expanding that, just that, and then exhaling out the mouth and then completely just filling up again. But there's something about that loop, that energetic loop, and it's just empowering, man. So definitely oxygen, air, for
Mm,
sure.
intention.
But
Yeah,
yes to the wind, brother.
and I
That's,
also, oh, go ahead.
no, please, please, please.
Now, I was just gonna say that there's also certain yogic techniques one can do. There's multiple. You can Google it, but I know there's one to where you're supposed to put the tongue on the roof of your mouth like that, and
Yes.
then you hold a certain mantra, like a certain finger, and even you can sit like a certain way
Mudra.
cross-legged, but
Yeah.
yeah, the certain mudras, but you sit a certain way cross-legged, but it lock in certain energy points within the body, the nadis, if you will. Like
Mm,
this physical vessel, like there's so much that we need to learn about it. We definitely are electrical beings. You know what I'm saying? Just going like this can specifically, let's say, for I'm using this as an example, can focus the blood flow and circulation and oxygen stimulation, let's say to your heart, to your third eye. If you go like this
mm,
can, let's say, stimulate the root. This can, it's different locks and
mm.
different mudras you can do, and you're focusing on certain points in the physical vessel, in the temple of God, if
I
you will. I
believe
just, I just wanted,
digestion as well.
yes, that as well,
Hmm.
and just expand, like expelling any waste that could be within the intestines, by certain, and then that connects with pranayama. So I just wanted to just bounce off of you, Bliss, with that. That was like
Yeah.
a perfect
Thank you.
segue. Yeah, perfect segue
Thank
for
you,
that.
brother.
Thank you.
No, yeah, that was great. And there's another question here that we have that connects this so wonderfully, because the question we have here is that, and I love this question, by the way. It's how does your soul evolve through the experiences of the human vessel or avatar? So, how does your soul evolve through the experiences of the human vessel slash avatar? That's a deep one. I'll go.
Mm.
I'll go first if y'all don't mind.
Can I? Oh, you want to go first?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Bliss. What you got?
Repeat it one more time so I can just make sure I answer it very clearly.
How does your
Soul
soul
evolve.
evolve through the experiences of the human vessel or avatar?
Okay. So for me, when I hear that, I'm instantly Akashic Records. And this is everything that your soul experiences is kind of like a lesson. Every experience, it's just teaching your soul or teaching your spirit, through the experience of your soul, what it needs to learn about itself and the all source and entirety. So through these experiences, it's just gaining more information, and it's like fine tuning what it is that your soul, your spirit in particular, is naturally resonant with. Whatever you resonate most with, I think all your experiences are just guiding you towards that. Ultimately, a source, but your spirit has your soul has a unique signature, that is playing out, and the experiences that you have help you to evolve and just become a better version of yourself. Like what City Blue was saying, from lifetime to lifetime, and I think that's how your soul evolves.
Okay, and that's how your soul evolves. He's gonna end it like that.
Straight up.
So how does your soul evolve through the experiences of the human vessel and avatar. Now check this out. For me, when I heard that, the soul evolving, we have to realize that the soul is very ethereal. It's not very slow in frequency, because everything vibrates at a frequency, even the soul does.
Correct.
You know? So the soul evolves because it's pushing something heavier than itself, which is the body. It's doing some lifting. So part of discipline and part of centralization, all of these things is, from what we know within this universe, is that when you have things like pushing against you is when the most growth happens. So when you're pushing, when you have this sort of resistance, our souls themselves are not necessarily used to it taking, I don't know, 50 minutes for me to get from here all the way uptown. We're not, our souls aren't used to that. Our souls are here, then it's here. Then it's here, then it's here. But because our souls, yes, just like in the dream state, which is more of which is less of a tangible reality in terms of physicality, and is more of an ethereal reality.
Facts.
So when our souls are inside of this third dimensional reality where it vibrates very, very, very slow, and it's made up a lot of matter, but slow, dense matter, physicality, solid materials, then it is building muscle by way of having to push all that it's, I don't want to say all that it's not, but that which is heavier than than itself.
Density,
so
yeah.
it's like some people call this earth a prison for the soul, but that's just how they perspective. I see this like weightlifting. So if you ask me, the souls get stronger because now it is in a very specific condition, and within that condition, it's able to thrive anyway in a way that is outside of its normal environment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does, because that connects to the resistance of the soul's trials and tribulations and challenges that it must face. Even when, let's say, if it doesn't want to do something, then that could be a mixture of the earthly and the godly selves, if you will. And then once again, finding that equilibrium within yourself to make the connection to do it.
Yes, it's kind of like when a baseball player, if you ever see a baseball player about to come up, sometimes they'll put a weight on the bat. You know what I mean? Sometimes they put a weight on the bat, or it's like
Piccolo with that.
Word, and
yeah,
even Gohan and them with the extra weights on their shoulders.
So it's like Rock Lee. Rock Lee took the weights off his ankles. That's what it's like.
Exactly. That's why when I first had like some sacred medicine, and I took in some sacred medicine, I remember I was like, whoa! I was like, yo, was I wearing a book bag or something? Because my soul had actually come out, and they was like, nah, you ain't come with no book bag, bro. I was like, oh,
you ain't coming with no book bag.
I was like, yo, well, that was something else. You know what I mean? I had something else off me. I'm glad that's off me. You know what I'm saying? But
that in itself is very deep. You ain't coming no book bag.
You ain't coming no book bag, bro.
I gotta write that one down to build on that.
Yeah,
and you know that just connects to when one has the time to spend in solitude or to spend in a safe space to heal and to really do a deep level of self-analysis, or as I like to call it, the body scan. You know, and whether you're sitting in silence or whether you're sitting with certain solfeggio tones or frequencies, and you just breathe and just mentally visualize where you want to send the oxygen in the vessel. Just try to send it throughout the entire vessel from head to toe, wherever you feel there's any resistance or blockage, and that's the point where you know you have to focus your breath on and just go against that resistance and just continue to contract the muscle and expand the muscle as much as you can. and it's going to be tight due to the lactic acid of one's diet and also of just the muscle itself. It just tends to do that, especially due to one's pH balance. If you're in a highly acidic, if you practice a highly acidic diet, then you're more solely to be prone to having muscles that are tight, as opposed to them being loose and in a relaxed state. And then that also can be included with being stressed, and but then that's the thing is, and that actually connects because we're placed in these I would consider them and categorize them as harsh conditions, at least living in the city, because it's the polar opposite of being in a relaxed state for the mind. Like, let's say a Buddhist who lives in the mountains, like that, if that's what they do, and they have, let's say, a schedule of where they practice agriculture, like it's really not I don't say it's not a challenge, but compared to someone who has to catch a 5 o'clock train and they just missed their connecting train, now they huffing and puffing and rushing and mentally drained of how the hell they're going to connect. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's more pressure with that, because whether you got to make an appointment or you got a deadline for something, so it's like being in these types of environments, it's basically when you apply pressure to a diamond, it becomes the diamond. Once you apply enough pressure, even though it's uncomfortable, it's basically like even the equivalent of a caterpillar going into a cocoon to become a butterfly. Like, you have to go against that resistance. You have to basically go against it and then even become one with it.
It's our service. It's our form of service, because service is work. Now, if we didn't have anything pushing against us, there's no work to do. You know what I mean? Like, there's no work to do. So this is a form of service. Like, even us existing on this physical plane in the way that we are, as dual beings that are both physical and spiritual. You know what I mean? Like, that this really is some work, but it all serves a divine purpose. It all serves source at the end of the day, and I think that once the soul knows that, the book bag kind of starts coming off a little bit, like, what I mean? Well, the idea of having a book bag, because some of the best spiritual masters I've seen, they've practiced the art of rejuvenating. I think I bring this up every episode, these beads, the beads, because this is rejuvenated 24/7, 365, constantly bringing the chants, because you're always going back home all day. So in the rejuvenation process, I know some masters who have visited so often and so regularly the womb from where we came consciously, that when they look at you as if, when you look at some of these masters' face, they look at you as if they want to cry from the beauty that they see in you, because they know that they're not just looking at you, but that they're looking at the divine itself. And they almost have an eye that's almost like, if only you knew. If only this soul knew the spirit that it was, that we all are one. Like, they're so like, the world has become nothing but beauty to them, because they've practiced the art of rejuvenation for so long that to even look at your face is a rejuvenation for them. And like I said, that like the specific master I'm talking about, his face, when you look at it, he always looks like he's about to cry from beauty, from recognizing something. Whatever that is and whatever that is like is probably better left unsaid, better experienced than anything.
That's a serious paradigm shift within one's reality.
Yeah, imagine everywhere you look at, you just looking at something just so beautiful, and you just think life is so beautiful because it's not just what other people are looking at. You're looking at the source of that which you rejuvenate. See, rejuvenation is a place you go to. It's a place that you go. You have to keep going. You know what I mean? You have to keep going to that nation.
Drink
You
from
know?
that water.
Drink the.
Spiritual
Ooh, I
hospital.
love it. Return to the well.
Hmm.
Return to the well, and it's
The
very,
oasis.
and it's very feminine in nature, isn't it? I'm starting to realize it's very feminine in nature. Like, come back to the well, come back to the womb, come back to the, you know, to the.
To mama, come back to
Come
the
back to
feminine.
mama. Ooh!
Yep, come back to the woman. The yin
Wow!
energy.
Wow! Okay.
Because I'm thinking about it,
Women, you are needed.
even that perpetual staying in that perpetual state of rejuvenation, you are encased in this type of divine feministic energy, because as you said, when you look at his face, it looks as if he's crying, but it looks like as if he's crying at the beauty of this reality, but from someone who is on a lower plane of thinking and frequency. What they're seeing, they're thinking that's a feminine trait of him looking, because a man, you're supposed to be warriors and you're not supposed to cry and you're not supposed to. But when you are immersed in a state of rejuvenation, you are in a state of vulnerability. When you are in a state where you're in a, skate dipping in a hot spring, or when you're standing, in the ground with your eyes closed and your feet, no shoes on your feet. These are states of vulnerability, states of what could be called femininity, but they're just states of submission.
And receptivity.
This master specifically too, is a warrior, which is funny. The master is a warrior as well. However, the beauty too is that there's one story, I think it was Ali, within the Islamic tradition, where they were in the middle of a war, right? And a dude, they had an exchange of words and all that, and a dude spit in his face. And when he spit in his face, he pulled out the sword and he held it back right before he killed him. He said, listen, if the guy was like, yo, why just stop? Like, you know what I mean? You supposed to get me. Like, and he's like, imagine somebody like, yo, why'd you even stop? He's like, yo, why'd you even stop? He said, because if I would have killed you, it would have been because of my own ego. I'm here on a holy war. I'm here on a war, like, guided by Allah.
Not for me, not for, if it was,
If it was, so that guy turned Muslim right there. He was like, oh, nah. He said, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. He's like, nah, y'all are too different. Y'all are different.
That's different.
Y'all are different.
That's different.
If I killed you out of ego, I would have been outside of my purpose. But let's say I had to kill you and to move in the space of Allah and the Creator,
Yeah.
Obliterated.
No. It's gonna be a beautiful death. It's gonna be a beautiful death.
A beautiful death.
I'm gonna stand over you. I'm gonna stand over you crying because you're dismembered. Anyway,
I love that dog humor, Rod. That's very dualistic. Right, that's a fact.
Okay, so let me see something. We do have another question. So what techniques can we use to identify our soul's growth and development? I love this. What techniques can we use to identify our soul's growth and development? So when we're dealing
I got a simple one.
Okay, what's up?
No, were you gonna add to that?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that, like, you could kind of just look at the reality around you. I mean, what have you been creating? Is it chaotic or not? Because if it's chaotic, then
right.
Maybe unless you want to live a life of chaos, then you in first place if you do. But if you're not, then your outer reality should represent the beauty that your inner reality has evolved toward. So
but chaotic is a mode of perception. So what do you?
Well, whatever, chaotic meaning that which is not in order. And in this specific sentence and in this specific phrase that I was expressing, I mean, like, is it a mess or not?
What I was
is it a
gonna
mess
say,
or is it not? Is it clean? Is it working?
Is it working?
Yeah.
Is it in order? And yes, there's order and chaos and things like, but I'm not talking about that kind. So
Right.
that's my way of noticing. Look at your immediate environment.
Mm,
You had something, City Bliss?
I
yeah, I was
go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say like goals, having like a checklist. That's a way to see your
Mm,
spirits or your soul's development, seeing where you were, like say 6 months ago and seeing where you are now, and then asking, is this where I intended to be, if you intended to be anywhere else, because I feel like the intention, that Ross spoke about earlier, definitely leads to the growth, having that intention in everything you do. So then having a list, or, having just certain goals that you've intended to reach maybe. And, when you get to a certain point, when you get to that time span that you set out for, checking that list and picking it twice and seeing, did I accomplish everything? Am I where I want to be? And even if you aren't, how does that make you feel? I think how we feel is ultimately a huge part of it too, because what happens is, when we don't hit goals, sometimes we can beat ourselves up, but it's never really about the goal. It's just about what you're learning along the journey. It's the process of it. So yeah, I definitely think like just keeping track of your accomplishments and achievements, having a list is definitely a great technique to be aware of your to identify your development.
I want to just ask another question behind that one, just
Hmm.
to account for time as well, but also because it connects so well. The question is, all right, now that this is how you keep account of whether your soul has been evolving. How does this
Hmm.
rejuvenation affect the way you show up in the world, and how you
Hmm.
interact with others? How, like, say you do have your soul at that state, and we'll ask everybody the same two questions, but like, just for you, City Bliss, right now, how does that affect your outlook in the world, and your interactions with others?
Yeah, when I rejuvenate, first and foremost, it is for me, right? And then the way it plays out with how I move in the world is it allows me to come from a more balanced space, uh, a space of refreshment where I feel like I have enough energy because I'm recharged, I'll speak personally, when I'm not feeling rejuvenated, my level of performance and the things that I do is not really up to par, as far as my standards, and I have less capacity, yeah, to be around others. There's like a me and this, and I haven't like my energy like becomes depleted when I'm around them. This is how it feels, when I'm not rejuvenated. But when I do rejuvenate, when I do refresh, when I do recharge, when I do go into nature, when I do ground, when I do eat some electric food, when I do take time to myself in solitude and just do the things that I love and enjoy, then I have more energy, more vibrancy, more will, more focus, um more I'm more driven, when I move out in the world, and this affects, everything I'm doing, the things that I'm creating, the relationships that I'm building, the relationships that I'm sustaining, and it just makes me a more blissful person, man. In reality, it's true. So that's how it works for me, brother.
Beautiful. Anybody else have
Thank you.
a
Yeah, I
please?
definitely want to say something.
Yes.
Um, I mean, for me, the techniques one can use, at least me, I'm very big on personal first-hand experience, as well as learning from other people's experience, whether it's second party, third party, by way of words or by way of a book. So for
Mm,
instance, if you know, and then this connects to engaging with other humans and other people, no matter their ethnic background or gender, so on and so forth. If you've been through certain experiences or bad experiences where, for instance, I'm just gonna make an example. You steal from a store, you get caught, you get a record, never again to steal. You know what I'm saying? So moving forward, and then you'll have that lesson embedded in you because you
Mm,
experienced that bad experience once again. So you will apply that to everything in your life. So you won't be stealing from stores. You won't even think about trying to steal from someone if you in their crib. You ain't. You get what I'm saying? Like, just that experience is just gonna change your perspective on, like, across the board for everything, and you're gonna apply it accordingly. So I say the experiences is what is the best teacher for one's techniques. So moving forward how to properly navigate and what to do and what not to do, what feels good, what does not feel good, and do unto others as others will do unto you. So that also will also connect to one being more mindful of what they're doing. So it's like a 3-for-1 combination. You know what I'm saying? You're killing three birds with one stone. I mean, even though it's a bad experience, but you're still learning through the experience.
So experiences and lessons you said that you saved that come across with you, come along with you after. That's beautifully put. And then we're gonna ask City Rock as well, like in terms of kind of keeping tabs of whether your soul is has been rejuvenated or is evolving. What are some ways that you keep tabs of that, and how does this affect your relationship with other people?
How I read the world is really just a succinct way to say how I see my level of the growth of my soul. It's how do I react to certain situations. We think that there are infinite amount of situations that we experience, but when you really look at the situations within your life, you really see that they're categorized into only a few, like let's say 10 or 12 situations, and then um, it's subsets of those things that you go through. And so for me, it is looking at the different ways I react to situations, the level of frustration I have with somebody, level of patience that I exude with someone, and even the way someone reacts to my energies, because I may be projecting something, I may be projecting a body language that they react to as well. So it's really just being conscious of my reality and how I'm being responded to, and how I also react to my experiences as well.
Wow.
Love that.
That was a beautiful explanation.
Nah, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's definitely a great gauge right there.
Word.
For real. Nah, yeah,
I
I'm
can.
gonna use that one. So second, we got one more question. We got a last question as we're getting ready to close out.
Wait, I'd love to hear your answer, Sidian.
Oh, I said, how do I gauge it? Through my immediate environment.
You did.
My immediate environment like tells me everything I need to know about what's going on inside, because if we do know it's a house of mirrors and we know that to be a truth, why will we deviate from that, realizing that what is outside is inside naturally? Like you want to keep tabs, see what does your room look like, what does your this look like, what does that look like, all of these things. I saw one of the brothers look over like to take a look, to check, you know what I mean, to see whether it's really on a 100. I'm like, like, so you always got to be like that though, because it's going to help you move forward. But last question, just so that we can end on time. How does rejuvenation, or does rejuvenation relate? Do you think it relates to your inner child? How can it connect to your inner child? If it does, you can say no, say yes.
But yeah, this is for everyone, right?
Yeah, everyone, anybody.
Okay. Well, when I think of inner child and rejuvenation, I'm thinking about back to basics. When I was back in pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, you had your friend, whoever you had, that little girl you had a crush on. You had your pen pal. You had snack time. You had nap time. You had cartoons. You had when you had to play with the little blocks. You know what I'm saying? So, and see, that's root chakra, in its most innocent form, because that's when you're becoming a human, and you're learning the ropes, if you will, from like these young ages, you know, like to grab this and play with this, and you know, you're experimenting and you're experiencing, but from a octave and degree of you coming fresh from source, you know, you not knowing nothing, quote unquote, but you, and that actually connects with the soul, relearning, rediscovering, researching, re-experiencing, if you will, you know. And as you go through this lifetime, I like to view it as like, let's say for people who travel the world, right? Like they collect little badges. Like, okay, I've been to Africa, I got a little badge on my backpack. I've been to Switzerland, I got a little badge on my backpack. I've been to Asia, I got a little badge on my backpack. You know, so that's my sense of perception. It's like each lifetime, like you gain like a new star, merit, or a new experience, you know?
Stamp on your
Definitely a
passport.
new star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or
I love that. I love that. When I think of, yeah, I say yes, it does connect for me. And when I think of the inner child and the soul's rejuvenation, I think of youth and that infinite youth that your spirit or your soul, yeah, your spirit always wants to be in, because it's always getting new experiences, it just wants to experience new and new things. And so it's like drinking from that fountain of youth, that's always
Wow.
replenishing you. So that rejuvenation takes place every time like you step into that inner child, because it's just a space where you really want for nothing. You have everything you need, you like you were saying, City Blue, that it's like root chakra in its most innocent state. Like everything is just provided for you, for the most part, depending on your situation. But it's like it's very root chakra and back to the basics, like you said, having all those things provided. So it's just, yeah, you're stepping into a space where you really carefree and just enjoying experiencing.
You,
That's my answer.
it's like also being able to maintain the curiosity of a child, of it, like that you're a
Curiosity,
child.
yeah, I like
right.
that.
You have that curiosity and one of
Mm-hmm.
the divine feminine shouts to, who said it? Groovy. Shouts to Groovy. Um
Mm,
Groovy
yep,
told me
groovy.
she was talking about the unknown. And she said, sometimes society will make the unknown. And this is a very divine feminine concept as well. That sometimes the unknown, society will make the unknown seem like something you got to stay away from. But in reality, it's
Mm,
something that you actually want to go forward to. And there's a yearning. There's also a yearning, and underneath yearning to want to understand that unknown. Because when you go into this unknown, you go into this darkness, you go into through that curiosity and through that yearning, you get unveiled to way higher levels of consciousness than, you know what I mean, than what you think you got right now. So, bringing that question over onto you, um, City Ra, when it comes to your inner child, do you think that it relates over to rejuvenation? If so,
I
how?
believe it does, because when I think of the inner child, they say that the person that you are is just a manifestation of who you are between 1 and 7.
Mm.
And that expansion is who you become, right? And so when I just think of my inner child, I thought of my character qualities. What character traits did I exude as a child in that time in second grade and third grade, and being around your friends and things of that nature in social situations? How did I show up to those certain situations, even when I was within that youthful stage? How does that manifest as an adult? So I will go try to find my inner child self in my adult self. And then recently, what I did was I reversed the process. I said, what adult qualities do I manifest now that I manifest when I was 7? So instead of trying to
mm,
find the inner child in the adult, I tried to find the adult in the inner child. And that was a rejuvenating process, because,
wow.
as I said, I believe that rejuvenation is reinforcing the essentials. I feel like our character is our essential part of ourselves, because that is how we show up to the world. And that other people experience from us. And that is our mode of service also on a spiritual level. So I believe the inner child definitely is interconnected perpetually with rejuvenation?
Okay.
Wow, Ashe.
Right.
Mashallah. Ra's been on it. Everybody has, and this is
Yeah, I was about to say that too. Everybody's
everybody
been
has.
providing
Everybody's
some
been on
good,
it, especially because we're
marvelous
all
content.
about this powerful rejuvenation. I think, like lately, I've been finding myself rejuvenating back into my marketing mindset and in my, my mindset of business and my wealthy mindset, like getting that rejuvenation. But not only, because it takes momentum to get back into that state so that you can regain that vigor, so that you can feel like you want to do it, so you can get that fire again. You know what I mean? And there's nothing that's gonna get you back into that fire like the lack of it, or feeling like you don't have no more. You're gonna be like, yo, listen, I gotta get it, whatever it is, because I feel like it ain't around, like I don't have the access. And if ever you do
Re-up.
that, it's like you try to figure out all types of ways to get it. You know what I mean? Which requires a new frame and a new mindset. So we're gonna end about here. If you would like to play us out, City Raw, that would be perfect. We thank everybody for tuning into the City Sultan podcast season 2, and yeah, play us away, brother.
Salute.
Salute. Thank you for tuning in, everyone.
So this is it.